Luke 23. And the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying,
We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king.
And Pilate asked him, saying,
Art thou the king of the Jews?
And he answered him and said,
Thou sayest it.
Then said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people,
I find no fault in this man.
And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them,
Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people. And behold, I, having examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod. For I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. I will therefore chastise him and release him.
For of necessity he must release one unto them at the feast. And they cried out all at once, saying,
Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas!
Who for a certain sedition made in the city, and for murder was cast into prison. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spake again to them. But they cried, saying,
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Precious people and wonderful people of the nation of Zimbabwe, I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. This is Pastor Oshen Amandishi, the prophetic intercessor, a messenger of hope, coming to you to give you my second update on the messages that I promised that I'm going to give you. Today I'm going to look on the issue of job scalar, as people were waiting and they want to understand so that I can clarify. But before I get into that, I just want us to understand something that is very important, so that people will not mistaken me as someone who is looking for relevance. Because I'm going to talk about this man, I want us to understand that in October, 14 October 2022, I shared with some of intercessors and those who I always relate with on these prophetic messages for the nation, and I told them that God gave me a vision of this man, job scalar, that he was going to spend 2 years. But for the reason that I did not want this to be on public platform, not to cause emotional stress to the families. I also even shared that he can be given 2 years and they can be wholly suspended if people pray. Now, with the events that happened, I was told that, you see, the way we count our days, the jail term may not count like how we count, say 700 is now 2 years. So in principle, it is believed that he has already served 2 years. And if you follow what happened, they gave him 2 years and suspended, while he had already served 2 years. So this is exactly that God showed me. I may put a screenshot on that one, not to try to prove anything, but just to show that now that he's out, I can share this. I was not supposed to share this, so that we avoid confusion, we avoid emotional stress to the family and so forth. Because of this background, I think I'm also qualified to give you the direction which the nation should understand. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. Number one, I'm going to use the issue of Shawi Nezrio. You know, Jesus talks about Shawi Nezrio, a farmer akadyara, but pakabudo futi mashawi aya. If a person is not very careful, he can mistaken shawi as real. Why it is meant maybe even to confuse even the farmer and even other people, they may not know. So this is exactly that is happening. This was thrown in order to cause confusion in the community of Zimbabwe. Let me tell you something that people should understand the nation of Zimbabwe, so that people cannot be diverted. You must understand that there is confusion and everything that is happening in the nation. The issue of Chabangu, I even made a video on that for those who are following, you understand. I told those whom we share these prophetic messages that this is like a bob they are trying to put. When I say bob, for those who understand draft, they strategically thought that let us release him this time. Not to say he was not supposed to release him, because most people were desiring that he must come out. So what I'm sharing is not to say he was supposed to remain there. As much as people were desiring that he must come out, and everything that you saw on social media, people advocating that he must come out. But politically, you must understand that he was thrown at this time. As much as people celebrated that he came out as a Bob, those who are Tambatsoro, so that he can also be thrown and cause some sort of confusion, so that people will not know which way to go. This was a politically calculated thing, according to what I perceived through the Spirit of God. Most of the people in Zimbabwe, they understand what is called draft tsoro. For some of us, sometimes we end up having what we call bobo. It can jump from corner to corner, must strike corner to corner. Now, I want you to understand that what was happening as I perceived it politically. I'm not a political analyst, but I'm sure some political analysts may agree with what we also picked spiritual, because we once discussed this with other intercessors, that this one is thrown as Bobo. Strategically, he was brought out so that he can cause confusion. They thought, now this is our Bobo. It's like shall to cause confusion. People who don't know what to do, whether they go this side, they cannot move, because Kanamka isirwa Bobo patsoro. You have to calculate your steps very good, otherwise you can be striped. You don't know which direction to go, so you might be stuck. You will see anotamba tsorango stuck at one corner, because kune bobo, if you just take a step, you'll be struck. So this is exactly that is happening. The nation of Zimbabwe, vakakandirwa bobo, they don't know the steps to take now. They don't know whether they go this way or they take wrong steps. So as I speak, you are already seeing what I'm saying, that there is a direction that God has already put upon this nation, and people should not be confused by this drama that we are seeing, by this confusion that is being thrown here. I'm speaking as an intercessor, as a prophet to the nation, not as a political commentator, but I'm giving you what the Spirit of the Lord was impressing in our heart. Let me give you another example. The example that I'm giving you, I don't want people to misinterpret this example, because I want to talk about how people can take wrong choices and wrong decisions. Jesus, when he was crucified, the king also asked, whom should we give you between the two, Barabbas and Jesus? So people, as you know, the mob decision, people said, release us to us Barabbas. And Barabbas was one of the known murderer, a thief who was in the jail. Quote me right here. I'm not saying this man is a thief and a murderer. Some people will say now I'm doing character assassination or defamation. But I want people to take where I want to drive this point, that people can make wrong decisions. Jesus, as much as he came to save the people by the divine will of God, he was supposed to be crucified. But when we come to the practical, if you want to look practical grounds, if there was no mission of him to die for the people, he was not supposed to be the one who was to be crucified, but Barabbas. Why? Because people, they can do wrong decisions. They can leave the right thing and go to the wrong thing. Here I'm not saying this man is bad or Job Scholar is bad. He might have been raised for another assignment because people were saying, we saw a prophet who was trying to confirm his dreams while he was in jail. Well, I don't want to comment on what this man of God had, because I'm not there to comment on what he had. But what I can say is that he might have another assignment which is different from what the whole nation of Zimbabwe is expecting. So that can be a private prophetic message, which I don't want to get into the details. So people may be confused with that, but I want you to understand one thing, that God has already raised and has shown already for those who are following these messages or this prophetic channel. I've already pointed many times, as much as I was speaking in parables of scriptures and also using tablets of scripture. This is where the nation should move towards to. And let me also emphasize this. When I speak like this, let me emphasize again and again. We as intercessors and the people who are praying for the nation, we are not advocating for any political party per se. We are moving with where God is directing the nation. This is where we are moving towards. And when we identify the will of God, that is where we pursue, and that is what we will be moving as the direction that God is also directing the nation. And that is what we'll be praying towards, so that people will not be mistaken as people who just want to be anti-government. As soon as the nation understands this will help the nation to move forward than to allow this confusion that is going on. Remember, I shared a lot of messages that also reveal the purpose and the will of God. This is what I can say concerning this issue of job scanner, for those who wanted to know whether they should move in this direction or this direction. I gave you the hint. I told you that this is a Bob Ramakaisiro, and that Bob, if people are not very careful, they can move, take wrong steps, and this will destroy the whole game, the whole plan of God. It can destroy the whole plan of God. So less people understand the direction that was there, that the people should move towards. Some of us are not necessarily moving by political parties. We are not there for political parties. We are there for the will of God that we have identified. We are apolitical, but I have identified the will of God, that this is the will of God. So if God raises some people through certain political parties, and if that person, even if he stands alone, if it is the will of God, that is where we move towards, because we need to support what God has raised. So people have got their own political affiliation, but this is the will of God that I'm telling you. God raised the man, you reject him, the nation will continue to move in circles. So God bless you as you continue to pray for our nation. As intercessors, we still pray for the total will of God to manifest in the nation of Zimbabwe. God bless you. Shalom.